Just checking. And what just happened? It was fine and now it's not. Yeah, I'm looking over here to see what's going on because okay, let me try that again. Good morning, it's Monday, August 30th, 2021. My name is Terry Morgan. We're here to practice Wudang Taiji. I'm a little hoarse, nothing to worry about. I was yelling and it made my throat sore. So no problem other than that. And it'll be fine later on today. I just need to clear my voice a little bit. All right, couple little announcements, and we're gonna get started. We have, I put the coffee down. Okay, we have this morning. We have Wudang Taiji, part 1. We're going to finish part 1 this morning. Okay? And we'll review it tomorrow. But then we are going to change to part 2. So this morning I'm going to focus on the whole, we're going to work on the whole thing, and then I'm going to pull out a couple of moves that repeat so that when we get there, it'll be more like meeting an old friend than trying to figure out where we go from here. Okay? In looking at the technical issues that I have been having, fingers crossed, I think I know where the problem is and I think I have a solution. So I think the problem is that I've got a really lousy upload speed from AT&T. And so where I'm located here had some interference that was slowing that down even more. Fingers crossed, right now it's showing me that everything is good. I moved some things around. Fingers crossed, everything is going to be good this morning, and I'm going to look at how I can get that connection changed so that I have a reliable connection that's got adequate bandwidth as opposed to what they're giving me now. and that way we get to keep going. All right, first thing, let's get started. Do some stretches. Yeah, I shouldn't yell. I shouldn't. Alright, I was upset. Better today. Feet about shoulder width apart, bend the knees a little bit. Hands at your sides. Drop your shoulders, pull up through the crown of the head. Open the arms, yeah. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Bend the knees slightly, hands circle to the front. Back around to both sides. Up along center line. Stretch out over the legs. Roll up through the back. Keep the movement smooth and even. Use the legs as you extend forward. Last time. Reach up. Elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. Okay. a sip of coffee. We're gonna do leg stretch. And I need to talk a little bit. Right leg front, left leg back. Open stance. This should be open, right? Do not push into the knee, push down through the leg. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Sink. Okay? That. And dance to the other side. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Sink. A little bit more. Yeah. All right. Relax. All right. That last sink more opens the hip. This is designed to develop strength in this stance as well as opening the hip so that you can get there. Okay? So we want both. Okay? First part of Wudang Taiji, we have relative stationary movement. Right? We're not going anywhere in either direction. Once we start moving, we keep going. And doing all the movements in sequence requires more space than what's here. Okay? This is better than the other room that I used because it does have more space than the other room. So I don't have to back up as many times. All right, the idea that the form travels, it goes and comes back. And it travels quite a bit, actually. And it comes all the way back in part 2. So what we want to do today, focus a little bit on the entire sequence, right? And then I'm going to pull out a few of the moves. I've talked about this before. Dragon and tiger joined together, handstrum the loop being one of them. Brush knee, right? Single whip reappears in part 2. So we have some of the same moves. We have some different moves too. All right, let's pay attention to the sequence in the first part of Wudang Taiji. Feet together, stand straight, pull up through the crown of the head. Tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. Relax through the back, relax through the upper body. Pull up through the crown of the head. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Salute. Breathe out. Breathe in. Sink the weight on the right. Open left. Turn. Pull the right in. Push it out. Come back to center. And turn to the left. Up. Across. And down. To the center. Palms press up. Turn left. Right. Left. Right. Extend to the left. Pull down. Shift. Push. Pull down again. Turn. Push. Shift back. Both hands to the left, to the right. Center. Up. And over. Turn to the front. 1, 2, 3. Circle. Double punch. shift, right heel, hands from the loop, extend forward, elbow, hold the ball, 1, 2, ward off again, pull down, press, push, and turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, cloud hands, 3, hold the ball, 1, 2, ward off, shift back, ward off again, pull down, press, push, cloud hands, 1, 2, 3, shift, single whip, open, center, sink, to the right, up to the left, center, 1, 2, 3, up, open, hold the ball, pull back, on the face, brush knee, step up, hands from the loop, step back, hands from the loop, sweep down, out to the right, left heel, brush knee, come center, down, out, come across, down, out, extend, shift forward, downward punch, turn, deflect downward, parry, and punch. Pull up, down, center, close the left foot, close the arms, and salute. All right, relax for a minute. We're going to go through a couple of the repeating moves. Also, pay attention to this idea. I talked about this before. The way the form moves. I'm looking at the technical thing and I'm smiling because it's working. It looks like the change that I made is working. Yippee! I'm still going to get the upgrade. I'm still going to look for the upgrade so I don't have the problem. But I'm really happy that it's still telling me that I have an excellent connection. This is good. I spent all last week on it. Okay. Anyway, with our form, the idea that we move and keep going and we come back. All right. So in the first part of the form, we really don't return to where we started. Right? I start over here and I go and I keep going and I come back. I actually, if there wasn't a wall here and I kept going and then I turn around and come back in the form, right? I would end up, give or take, over here someplace. So I'm starting over there and I'm going to finish over here. With the second part of the form, I should end up exactly where I started, facing the opposite direction. Facing the opposite direction. Yeah? Alright, so part of Tai Chi, all Tai Chi systems, has to do with our stepping methods. How do we move through space? Where do we go? How do we get there? How do we get back? Right? So as we're moving, I'm going this way. Am I supposed to come back? If I am, then I need to make sure that my step is appropriate for me to be able to do that. I'll give you an example. With coffee in hand, I'm going to do this. Brush knee. Now, I'm not going to do brush knee with my left hand. I'm just going to do the leg work, okay? So, brush knee, and I'm going to step here, and step here, right? If I am supposed to come back to where I started, I need to make sure that my step is the same when I turn around. If, in fact, my step is smaller, I won't get back to where I need to go. If my step is larger, I'm going to overshoot that target. And my target was back up over here, and I'm over here someplace. All right? This level of control through the form is something that we worked for. All right? You learn form. Got to learn form first. All right? Now we start to work with it to do more. All right? One of those more things is developing the control over how large or how small your step is so that it's consistent. It's consistent through the form. All right? That consistency is something that for 15 years I looked for in competitors when I was judging. Are you consistent within yourself? Even if I don't know the fine details, which it takes a lot for me to not know what fine details, but even I don't know the fine details for your particular form, right? I don't know what you've been taught. Well, look at what you're doing. Is it consistent within itself? So, big movements in one spot, little movements in another. Is that part of the form? Or is that an inconsistency? Because Tai Chi forms tend to be consistent. There's not, pardon me, there's not big moves in one part, small moves in another. It's either smaller circles or bigger circles. Your choice. I'm not saying there are not opportunities to do things in application, but in practice, we focus on that consistency because it gives us the ability to identify inconsistency. If my form, if my movements are consistent, my timing is good, and I'm paying attention to where I am in space. As I move through the form, I can find where there are inconsistencies in what I'm doing. If I'm moving in application, it's very easy to find where the opponent has inconsistencies. So then I can take advantage of them, all right? And leave fewer opportunities for the opponent to take advantage of anything that I might be doing that's just a little bit off, okay? So as we move, this idea of open and close remains. I'm going to put copy down. So we're going to do this again. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by this. I'm going to use brush knee again, just because it's a really good example, and I'm going to try and be consistent. All right, so brushing again on the diagonal. As I come through, both times, just pay attention to brushing. I'm giving the connection because that's where I am right now. Excuse me. So, again, different dynamic, a little bit bigger movement. Different dynamic, very much smaller movement. Both are good. Matter of fact, all three what I just did are fine. They're consistent with themselves. Okay? If I did no. Inconsistent. Want to pick one, and it would be okay. Right? The movement's correct, the posture's correct, the timing and the form is correct. There is more or less energy in one or the other. There is a greater range of movement in one or the other, but both are and can be correct. They can't be mixed. Okay? That inconsistency in movement is something that we want to avoid. And that's part of what I'm getting at when I talk about how we manage our space and our stepping methods. So I need to decide at some place, preferably before I start, I need to decide what's my step going to be. Smaller, larger, more dynamic, less dynamic. What am I doing today? It can be different tomorrow. What am I doing today? As I decide that, I also need to pay attention to how much space I have. How much do I, if there's physical, there's a wall there. I can go as far as the wall and then I have to stop. Same kind of on the other, there's a garage door on the other side. I have to stop. I get there, I have to stop. So what is the space that I have? How much of it can I actively use, particularly if I'm trying to live stream and let you see what I'm doing, just so you can follow me, right? And how do I make use of that space? So one day I could choose to use larger movements to cover more space, to move through more dynamically, bigger movements. That means I'm going to have to back up sooner, which is okay. I can do that. I can use smaller movements. I'm still going to pretty much back up in the same spot because it's really convenient to do that. but it would mean that I'd be covering less space. How do I calculate the space that I'm using so that I can get back to where I was when I started? Managing your step, managing how you move through space, knowing where your feet are, knowing where your footprints are, all right? I used to do that. I would go to the beach. I was living close to the beach, 5-10 minutes. Drive down to the beach in the morning, practice Tai Chi on the beach. And I would practice where the sand was not always totally firm, but firm enough that my footprints would show. That helped me to identify, oh, this place I'm moving here, this place I'm moving here. As I learned that, I was able to internalize it so that I don't need the actual footprints. I know where the feet are. I know where they should be. All right? That's a skill that we want to develop. Knowing where your feet are. When I very first started learning, and I expect there still are, footwork charts. Put it up on the wall. This stance, turn here, come this way. Bagua, stepping, turn this. Lots and lots and lots of stepping charts. We pay attention to this quite a bit. So as we go through this again, one more time, pay attention, pay special attention to stepping. And then I am really going to review those couple 3 moves, right? Pay attention to your stepping method. What are your feet doing? Where do they go? If you were leaving footprints, what would that look like? Feet together, stand straight. Pull up through the crown of the head. Tip the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. Relax through the back, bend the knees just a little bit. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in, salute. Breathe out. Breathe in. Pull up the back. Breathe out. Sink. Open. Turn. Left side. Open the hip. Use the legs. Turn. Open the waist. Pull down. And turn. Again, to the right, center. 3, circle, double punch. On the left, dragon and tiger join together, hands from the loop. Shift forward, turn. 1, 2, 3. Shift back. Move. Chi. On. Cloud hands. 1, 2, 3. Hold the ball right side. Right heel. Left toe. And open. Pull down. Press. And push. Turn 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Single whip. Open. And Chao China. Shift back. And up. brush knee, brush knee, dragon and tiger, hands turn the glute, step back, down, around, heel, push, brush knee, center, out to the left, right heel, brush knee, down center, out to the right, step through, dragon and tiger, hands turn the loop, lean forward, punch down, apply the sleeves, shift back, deflect downward, parry, and punch. Pull up on the left, down on the right, center, close the left in, and salute. Okay, so I'm talking about space. Probably ended up a little bit closer, excuse me, a little bit closer to where I started than maybe I should. I tend to open up that last set, that deflect downward, parry and punch. I tend to open that up a little bit. So when I do that, it covers more ground. All right, I'm aware of it. And that was part of what I'm getting at with this idea of the footwork and footprints. And yeah, seriously, there are people that would paste. I had a Bagua circle on the floor at a previous location. So then it works really well, all right? But the idea that there would be actual footprints to follow, to give the turning, to give the step, to give the distance for the step. Absolutely. Paying attention to your own step is how you advance. Okay, so the first part, I'm still seeing that I've got an excellent connection this morning. It's great. So I'm going to keep going a little bit. All right, so paying attention to your stance. The idea that you've got your footprints here and you're following the step, and this is how you learn where the step goes. This is how you learn where to put your feet. Okay? Once you do that, you have to apply your own step. Right? So, how does that work? Suppose, I'm just do the last part, okay? So I'm going to turn around and what is the last part. Suppose that I'm working with a group of 20 people. It could be more, it could be less. Suppose there's 20 people here. All right, and I've got a couple of rows. For Wudang, Taiji, like 5 to 8 people in a row is good. All right, staggered, so everybody can see what's being done. If each of those people, each of those 20 people, move to their own step, they're all going to run into each other. This one's going to step short, this one's going to step long, this one's going to push that one out of the way, this one's going to move that. Right? Can't do that. Everybody moves in a regular step. That's how we learn. You ever see a chorus line of dancers all moving according to however they want to? Everybody adapts so that the movement appears to be completely in unison. Well, my leg moves slow. Well, fix it. It's not, no, you don't get to do that. All right? Same thing with group practice. We work for consistency. We work to keep the step regular. turn, right? As I come around, 1, 2, 3. All right? That distance, that step, is possible for just about everybody. Now, the really tall guy in the back is going to have a little trouble with it because it's going to be narrow for him. Okay? But pretty much everybody can follow that step. Open it up a little bit, not too much. As we practice individually, what's my range? Where can I go with this step? Me, these legs, right? Where can I go? Not you, me. Where can I go with this step? I have an opportunity here, which is more or less what I just did. I have an opportunity there, which is not the same. If I've been consistent with my step all the way through, there wouldn't be any change there. You wouldn't see the difference. Because whichever one I pick would have been consistent. How large is my step? How small is my step? That I decide, right? And that's a big part of what I'm getting at right now with the footwork and placement and how do we control the space and what are we doing with the footwork and how do we move through space, right? The idea that we have a certain amount of space that we're going to use, that we are going to move consistently within that space. Start there. Second part, what I've just talked about, and things that is, I'm going to continue this type of discussion as we get into part 2. What's the dynamic that I'm applying to what am I doing? What's the dynamic? How big or small is the movement? Is it consistent within itself? Right? No. That last bit is never going to be correct. No, don't do it. Okay? Smaller movement goes to this big, awkward, right? Making, all right, smaller. Smaller. Hang on a second, I checked some. 7:45, all right. All right, that was smaller. I'm going to make it bigger. All right, and if, I'm going to sip of coffee, because I need to calm down for a second. If you hear the yard machinery there, that's my neighbor who's been bullying me for 8 years. I'm not going to talk about it. But that's the noise because he has to find some way to disturb whatever it is I'm doing. All right, back to Tai Chi. We almost done for this morning. We'll be okay. All right, so which dynamic? Smaller, larger. Smaller again. Smaller. Much more contained, right? Consistent. Bigger. A little more dynamic. Not too much, because not too much. Bigger. Both are consistent with each other, right? Within, how do I say it? Both are consistent. So the first one's consistent with itself. The second one is consistent with itself. Don't mix them. Both are correct. We need to practice both. Refining the movements in the form is the next step in form practice. First part, you have to learn the form. You have to learn, wow, what do I do? What's the physical movement? Right? Next, Tai Chi, we're going to learn something about the internal workmanship. What am I supposed to be paying attention to as I practice? What am I doing? Right? How should I move? How you move matters. So how to move. What do I pay attention to? What do I focus on? How do I disregard distractions so that I pay attention to my practice even when there are distractions that would create a problem in normal circumstance, right? So that level of focus, that level of discipline, that even in the face of whatever distractions it might be, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing. Part of that I learned from my time in China. Part of that I've developed. It's a skill. I need to work on it a little bit more because there are times when distractions do bother me. Yes. But there are also opportunities to learn something more from that. And rather than paying attention to the issue, as soon as I possibly can, I want to look for how to overcome that issue. What do I need to do here? What's the way around? And this is Tai Chi. Tai Chi moves like a great river, flowing unceasingly to the ocean. So I'm flowing here and I'm looking and there's an instruction and I'm going to flow around it. And then there's another instruction and I'm going to flow around it and then I'm just going to move out of the way. Right? There's a lot of push hands right there. There was a lot of push hands right there. Anybody that knows is going to see it. All right, yeah. I'm going to look at how I could teach some push hands, or at least some push hand strategy. It really needs another person to push. But there are some exercises that I have, stationary exercises that we can practice. Not today. And it won't be until later. Right? I'll introduce some of it, but it's not on my plan until later. All right? The next thing that we have, starting next week in this time, is part 2 and part 3 of Yang style Tai Chi. Right? Tomorrow is the last session for this series on Wudang Tai Chi part 1. Next week, tomorrow, right? Wudang Tai Chi part 2. Okay? So, handstring the loop, dragon and tiger, Russian, all of these repeat. I use these as examples, and I've called them out before. They repeat. Old friends in a new place. Okay? On Wednesday, this week, Wudang Tai Chi sword. Alright? Thursday and Friday, Wudang Qigong. I hope you'll join me. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.